basically just kind of give background is we have at McGill, as part of our AI society, a course that we can teach. It's like a peer talk course where upper year students will teach machine learning to younger students. And I was one of the lecturers for the course. So basically organizing the lecture content, organizing the different aspects of the course. And yeah, so the generation before us kind of created that course. And then it was the second year that we were going to take it up. And then I obviously really wanted to be a part of that because the thing that is like, you always learn by teaching, right? When you have to teach something and you know that people are going to start asking questions and poking holes in your understanding, then you're going to be really studying hard because now you don't want to look like an idiot, you know, right? So the experience there was super great. Like, so the premise actually, why we thought the bootcamp was important, and this kind of goes more as advice of people if they want to get interested in machine learning or move into machine learning, is like, we thought it was important at a young age to introduce people to concepts of machine learning or different aspects of it, just so you have an understanding of what it is, right? Because even something that we saw in like Montreal, and a reason that I was able to get some of the roles that I was able to get is there's a lack of talent in ML, but there's a lot of demand. Like, people really want ML engineers, but sometimes it's not as easy to find those types of people. Mm-hmm. And so they're willing to take a gamble on you as an intern to come in and work in ML, right? So if you get those skills early and you keep developing those skills as you're going along, then you'll be very likely to, like, as you get like later in your years, you'll be very likely to land a position that you're interested in or get into a role that you're interested in. So that was kind of the premise of, like, we wanted to introduce kids young to machine learning because we didn't think that machine learning, specifically the application side, has a lot of theoretical understanding. Well, sorry, it has a lot of theoretical understanding, but not things that would prevent kids from being able to pick it up, right? Like, you can pick it up and play with it and train a data set and whatever and have a good result, but you might not know exactly how everything, the intricacies, how everything works. But yeah, that was the premise. And honestly, just to speak, like, most rewarding experience, I think that was one of the most rewarding experiences, because we were teaching, like, every semester we were teaching an actual course, like, of 30 students, and you have assignments, you have TAs, and I don't know, it was a really cool experience. So
yeah, I can imagine what the logistics involved must look like. And I really that point about, like, applying machine learning not requiring, like, it not being as huge of like a cliff to jump over compared to, like, understanding it theoretically is like a very valid point. Because, like, at Stanford I hear this joke all the time, right? It's just model.fit, bro. Like, it's exactly, like you can make solid applications, provided of course you understand the ethics and things like that around it. That's really important, but it's not as deep a concept, excuse the pun, but not as deep a concept as many people think it is.
But I was just, but I've heard personally is that, like, a lot of people feel like they have to do like a master's degree and, like, like specialize like further to, like, actually like land these roles. That's the kind of, like, at least the misconception that was there initially, because and even people who pursue data science internships, they're very worried as to whether they'll actually land like a full-time role, even at these big companies. That's what I've heard personally, at least.
Yeah. No, I think you're definitely right. Like, it skews more to master's, PhD, and probably rightfully so, because like, I'll be honest, in the roles that I've gotten, I was always the stupidest kid in the room, like, by far.
Okay, like, you've all been there.
Yeah, I'd be going home, like, just looking around, like, bro, these guys all PhDs, like, how am I gonna match these dudes? So, like, it's something that was, like, super stressful for me. And I'm not saying, like, it's because I'm smart. It's because I was just, like, super lucky and happened to get into the right room, like, and so, yeah, I think you definitely have more success going into these kind of roles with a master's, for sure. I think what you're saying is right.
Right, that's true. But, like, even though, like, that's like this pseudo requirement that's kind of, like, thrown around, you still, like, managed to, like, land, like, at least, like, 3 roles, I believe, like 1 data science role and 2 machine learning roles at, like, Unity, Ubisoft, Behavior Interactive, and these companies. I was just wondering, like in terms of, like, strategy, because like a lot of people, like, there's so many resources on the internet as to, like, do XYZ things to, like, land this role. Like, what's, like, your take on, like, how people could land these roles and how they could represent themselves to recruiters? Because, like, that's always, like, a big question that kind of, like, throws around, and people are very intimidated by the process.
Yeah.
Including myself. Like, I've thrown, like, million questions on your end also. So, like, just want to get it on video, I guess.
Yeah. The one thing, like, what I think, because so I made a strategy by looking at friends that I saw were successful. Okay.
Okay.
So I had two friends. One of them was like an ML guy, and he was working at Microsoft Research.
Okay.
And he'd published in NeurIPS. So NeurIPS is like one of the top conferences, right? And he was all our age. Like he was like an undergrad at the time, right? And then I had another friend who was top tier graphics programmer, and he was working. He had worked at Ubisoft, and they went and Google did something with their video team. And then I was looking at both these guys, and I was thinking like, okay, what is different between these guys and what I was doing? So at the time, what I was trying to do is like be general, right? Like be general in everything I was doing, like try to be good at everything, do web dev, do a little like C++, do like basically do everything, right?
Yeah.
I started to realize like the reason these guys were successful is they were specialized, right? Like one of them was top tier ML guy. One of the other guy was like a top tier graphics guy, right? So I was thinking, okay, I need to kind of specialize and get into kind of my lane, right? And so when I went to Behavior is like a video game company that creates Dead by Daylight. It's just some multiplayer game anyways. But when I was at Behavior, I knew already, okay, I'm in something related to data in video games, right? So when I was looking at the next role, I was looking at Ubisoft, and they had a research lab there. I was like, okay, this is where I want to go, right? So I was like, okay, I want to do some ML in games, right? And then when I was in that lane, it became much easier, right? Because once I got into Ubisoft and I worked at Ubisoft's like research lab there, when I went, there was a Unity had a session on campus, and I went to the recruiter immediately and I told her like, listen, I come from Ubisoft, I come from this lab, I've worked here, and I want to come work at Unity, and I would like to work in the lab with you guys. And that's just how it happened like this, right? It's just because I was in this lane. Then like when you looked at my resume, you'd be like, oh, okay, this guy knows how to do ML for games. He understands games. He's been in this industry for different internships. He's worked like he's built his own games, whatever. Like he has this experience so that we can bring him in, and he has an actual expertise. He's not some like kid that we bring in and we kind of have to teach him everything. Like you can bring me in day one and I'll start to produce. Well, obviously I have to like learn the problem that you're trying to solve and what's the system you're working with. But I'm like the risk on taking a chance on me as opposed to somebody random is much lower, right? Because I come with like that. So that's the one thing that I think I was lucky with, is like I just happened to fall into a lane that I happened to enjoy, and I kind of helped me keep getting progressively cooler roles and like getting to work with cooler stuff. So yeah, that's all I could say is just find your lane, find the lane you want to be in, and find the things you're interested in. That kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is like try everything, right? Try to test everything. Sometimes take a job that you think you might not like just to see, like obviously if you have a better option, don't take that job. But I mean like if you don't have
just to
option,
know that you don't like it.
Because data is the most important thing, right? It's coming from a guy who loves data, right? So the more data you can get, the better for you.
Yeah.